Morning, everybody. Welcome to the Mayor's Monday Message for June 1st, 2020. I want to start off just with a quick COVID update. We are in the yellow phase still, and that does still mean that park equipment is closed, basketball courts are closed, the skate park is closed, and our dine-in restaurants are still closed until Friday. So, and even then, the inside is closed, but we're going to be able to open up some open air dining. We're working on some things to expand the outdoor dining, including on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, Friday evenings, Saturdays during the day and evenings, and Sunday during the day and evenings, closing the 100 block of North George Street so that we can have more outdoor seating and allow our restaurants to get back on their feet a little bit. We're also expanding any restaurant that wants to expand. We're allowing for expanded outdoor seating and even expanded into areas. If they get permission from a neighbor, you can expand out there. So contact us. I think I've reached out to almost every restaurant and bar in the city to make sure that they understand what's going on. New rules that just came out on Wednesday. So we're not into the green phase yet. Crossing our fingers that we'll be there soon. But the governor has allowed restaurants to begin to do outdoor dining. Please continue to wear your masks and wash your hands and practice social distancing. We're not through this yet. A bunch of states that have taken away all the restrictions, their numbers are going up very rapidly. North Carolina's numbers are shooting through the roof. So we're not through this yet. We need to continue to be careful and hopefully we can safely open up and get to the green phase very soon. I wanted to let folks know that we did take in applications. We've got about 57 applications that we believe we're going to be able to give grants to, small business grants. That's city-owned businesses. So residents that live in the city and have businesses in the city, hoping to be able to give out $285,000 in $5,000 grants to our barber shops, to our small stores, to small restaurants, anyone that has 5 employees or less. We were able to get these grants out, or not out yet, but at least get the applications in, and we'll get that money out as soon as we can. So that's going to be coming soon. And everybody that had a successful application, that means you got through the process and answered all the questions, you will be getting a grant. So don't have the check in hand yet, but it will be coming. So you can expect $5,000 to be coming your direction. We're still waiting any day now. The rental assistance program will be available. We're working with other folks, and everybody needs to have everything in order to get that out there. So as soon as I hear the word, I will give you the number and the way to contact folks for rental assistance. We will be giving out over $300,000 in rental assistance money coming very soon. The YCEA, the York County Economic Alliance, is having a virtual job fair this Friday from 12 to 12:30. So it's just something you get online, and you can check it out. Representatives from employers will briefly discuss the open positions they have, the qualifications, and how to apply. It's a free event, but you must register to attend. So just go to YCEA's Facebook page, York County Economic Alliance Facebook page, and you can get on there and register for the event. So now the big topic of the day, of the week, of the year, of the century so far, is the ongoing unjust treatment of people in our community, people of color in our community, by authorities. And while my condolences go out to the families of those murdered, deceived, abused by authorities throughout the country, I'm hoping that this video of George Floyd brings it to a head, because there's very few places that you can sit and watch. Like, we don't allow our TV shows or even videos, it was basically a snuff video. It's a 9-minute video, 8 minutes and 46 seconds of watching somebody murder somebody. Somebody of authority murdering somebody in front of a crowd. And I hope this is the call to everyone that could ignore it before, that this is the time to make the change. This is our moment to make the changes necessary so that we don't have this in our world, in our country, in our communities anymore. And so the city of York is standing with protesters, with the movement, to get this corruption out of our system, to get this racism out of our system, and get to that place that we talk about, that we stand for: justice for all, freedom for all, opportunities for all. I cannot describe the pit in my stomach as I envision what I watched this past week with the murder of George Floyd. So I do want to say that, I'm here, Commissioner Robinson is here with me, and we'll be speaking here in a minute. We are 100% behind these efforts, and the City of York will do whatever we can to help support peaceful protests and civil disobedience actions that lead to the changes that we need in our country. That said, both the Commissioner and I still have our duty to utilize our police to protect the community. So while I will be participating in the protests as a protester, and Commissioner Robinson will be participating as a protester and representative of the city, we will also have police available to protect our citizens, particularly from what I'm seeing in other cities, which is outsiders coming in and destroying property, burning neighborhoods that they don't live in, creating chaos in cities that they don't live in. So we will be available and we will be vigilant to protect our people and our property, particularly from outsiders coming in. And I want to ask all the protesters, the peaceful protesters, that once the events are over, that you leave and make sure to clear out the area, so that if the police do have to detain, arrest, stop people committing violent acts in our city, that you won't get caught up in it. Again, I will be there with you. But we can't let these people come in from outside and just destroy our city, which is what they're talking about doing, planning on doing. And I just wanted to say one more thing that was one of the most eloquent things I've heard from a woman from Southern York County who spoke yesterday at the vigil at the Unitarian Church. And that was, this problem that we have, it's not a black problem. It's not a Latino problem. It is a white problem. So if you are white and you do not think it is your problem, guess what? It is all of us that have, and our ancestors that have created, that have allowed this situation to be what it is, where there are different rules for different people, where some people can expect protection and other people who do not have that feeling. So it is up to us to stand up and stand with our friends, with our neighbors, and demand action so that we can get closer to the true goals of being Americans, the true vision that is America, and I believe is York City. So with that, I want to turn the camera and the mic over to Commissioner Robinson, who I know has some similar feelings because we've discussed this, and he'll talk about that and a little bit about how our police officers will still be engaged during this time. Please, Commissioner Robinson.
So good morning, York. Good morning, York City. I'm Commissioner Robinson. I'm the Commissioner of York City Police Department. But more importantly, not am I just the Commissioner of York City Police Department, but I'm your Commissioner as well. And with the events that transpired with the murder of George Floyd, as a police executive in York City, as a police executive in the United States of America, I was outraged, and the situation was completely appalling. And it was appalling on a number of levels. As I look at the situation through the eyes of a law enforcement executive, a part of my position is to call balls and strikes. And it's not just to call balls and strikes when someone in the community breaks the law, but it's to call balls and strikes when one of my own breaks the law or commits an infraction that violates a policy. And what I saw within that video was just troubling and alarming, because what I saw was murder. Yes, police officers do have a right to legally use force, but that use of force, if it is in a lawful situation, it has a shelf life, and it just doesn't go on and go on and go on. Police officers are able to use force specifically if they have a legal right to detain or arrest someone, and that person is resisting that arrest. But then you also have deadly force. And if a police officer is legally using deadly force, it's either because that officer is in fear of significant bodily harm to himself or to someone else, and he is trying to stop that threat from occurring. What we all saw in the case of George Floyd's murder is someone not actively resisting, someone in handcuffs, and what we saw was 3 officers in an inhumane way using force against George Floyd while another officer stood by and watched. They listened in an inhumane way to George beg for them to give him some reprieve because he couldn't breathe. You heard the bystanders begging the police officers. And this is all done knowing that he's being videotaped and that they're being videotaped. And so the arrogance and ignorance that took place on that day is not reflective of York City Police Department. And I will not tolerate that behavior in any way by any of my police officers. So I want you all to know that I am committed to York City and York City Police Department, but I'm also committed in a way that is lawful, legal, and humane. That said, I don't stand behind you when it comes to the peaceful protests. I stand with you because I am just as outraged and appalled as you all are. And so I will be with you as a part of this peaceful protesting as we move forward throughout this week. That said, we want everyone to be careful. We want everyone to be safe, and we want everybody to use discernment and know that there are people who come here that are not from this community that want to simply cause damage under the pretense of peaceful protest. But what they want to do is create chaos and commit crimes, and that won't be tolerated either. So that said, be a part of the peaceful protest. Don't allow anyone you know that comes there for the good reason, which is in the spirit of the murder of George Floyd. Don't let anyone be distracted, and you don't be distracted from that peaceful protest and the purpose why we're here. Because there will be agitators potentially, and there may be others who don't have a vested interest in our community that may try to distract you and dissuade you to a place that you don't want to be. So I thank you for all the support that you have given me since I've been here. I thank you for all of the peaceful gatherings and protesting that we've had thus far since this tragic incident occurred. And I'm looking forward to standing with you.
Thank you, Commissioner Robinson. So I do know, excuse me, I put my paper over here. We have a couple of events that we're working with the organizers right now. The York Black Lives Matter peaceful protest is tomorrow from 5 to 6:30 p.m. And we're going to block off the block there of George Street so that because we do have election ballot collection going on at the same time right next door. So we've asked the organizers, and we're asking individuals to move just slightly off of the square onto North George Street so that we can have all that space and we can protest without interfering with the democratic election process that will be going on at the exact same time. And then we have the YWCA's event on Thursday night at 8 p.m. at 320 East Market Street, and that will be a vigil in remembrance of George Floyd. And so please, you can join us there. There's also an event that I've heard of, but I haven't spoken with the organizer yet on Friday night. So we'll have more information. There'll be more information on my page about that. But I just want to assure everyone that we are committed to protecting the citizens of York, and we are committed to national change. So I will use my power as the mayor to represent you and do anything that I can do to help make these changes. I wanted to bring up one last thing, and that was I was quoted last Wednesday as asking people to film engagements with police officers, whether they are the ones being engaged by the police officers or if you see somebody. We, police officers, politicians, people of power need to be above reproach. And while we will make mistakes sometimes and we need to apologize for that, we need to, and maybe be disciplined for mistakes, we also need to be held accountable. And the best way that you can hold all of us accountable is by keeping a record of what we are doing. So I know this doesn't make some people happy, but I think it's the only fair way to really go about things, because I get frequent comments saying that our police officers did this and did that wrong, but there's no evidence. And I've also seen evidence that completely contradicted what people said when they made those complaints. So the police officers are safer, whether they believe it or not, they are safer with the public having documentation of their actions, and the people are safer having documentations of their actions. Body cameras and units in the cars, they do part of that for us. But the more documentation, the more truth we will find. It won't be one side of the story. So I would continue to encourage us all to document what you see. And that is the way, and this is across the country. We wouldn't, without the cell phone footage of what happened in Central Park, that African-American man could be in prison for who knows how long, but he protected himself with his own cell phone. You know, George Floyd, all the videos, we wouldn't have those videos if it weren't for people holding us all accountable. And so I invite you to do that with me, as well as members of the city staff. And finally, I hope that through this we can find some way to heal the damage that's been done for decades and decades and decades. We are here. The commissioner is here. We need you. We desperately need you. COVID is here. George Floyd is here. But the violence in our city is always here. It's been here for years and years, and it is our long-term priority, actually short-term priority, but also long-term priority, that we rebuild relationships with the community and the police so that we can really address what is hurting our city more than any of these other things, more than COVID, more than police abuse. When you look at the statistics of who is dying and why, it's the violence in our city that we have to keep in mind. And we have to all work together, not only for the civil rights of all of us, but to have a safer community that we can all live in and flourish in. So I know this was another one of my kind of depressing Monday morning messages. I apologize for that, but sometimes life is really damn serious. And this is one of those times. So I hope that I see you around the city, both out there standing up for your rights, as well as enjoying our restaurants and businesses and helping them to survive the COVID chaos that has occurred. Come on out and be York City citizens. Let's stand up. We'll see you around the city. Thanks.